Welcome to Power Driven Diesel, guys. Today we've got my grandpa truck on the lift, and it is in here because of leaking transmission lines. Many of you know the factory steel lines tend to cause issues when you hit that high mileage, because these trucks don't vibrate at all. They get pinholes in them, O-rings wear out, rubber lines. So we have a new kit for you. Here is our transmission line replacement kit. Clips, fittings, everything you need to go. We're gonna run over it real fast, show you how to install it, quick overview, and I'll give you some tips, and hopefully you can get your leaky truck taken care of. Now, the new replacement fittings, when you're putting them into your transmission and your heat exchanger, a lot of people like to use Teflon tape on the pipe thread side of these. We like to use a liquid thread sealant. This is Loctite 545, and it works great. Put a couple drops on there, sets up fast, never leaks. When I say never, just make sure you have enough on there and it'll be good. But when you put these in, tighten them down. We got people talking over here, so we're trying to give you guys a little more quality.
I wasn't talking.
It was the boss. It was the boss. So you can't get mad at him, right? So anyways, when you're putting these fittings in, do not over tighten them into your transmission case. They will crack the case. Many times we see it come in here on core trannies, and they're kind of a pain to deal with. Basically, you end up having to buy a new case. So do not over tighten them. Second aspect of that is when you're putting on these new push-on barb fittings, you're gonna have your hose on one end. These do not need any Teflon or thread sealant or anything. They're a dry fit. Put them on, and when you're tightening your lines on, final step pretty much, make sure you use a backer wrench on these. So you've got two wrenches, one tightening against the other. Once again, don't crack the tranny case by not backing it up. And when you guys are installing these feisty 300 PSI rated high temperature transmission lines, heat and oil. So get your heat gun, get your tip heated up, and oil the crap out of this fitting here, okay? And then try and press it on. If you try and shove them on dry, you're gonna get it halfway on and you're never gonna get it pushed on all the way. You're gonna have to cut the end of the hose off, and then you're gonna have to try it all over again. So make sure you get a heat gun out and a little bit of oil so you can help slide these on during the whole assembly process. All right, so here we are. We're gonna give you a quick overview on the ground so you can kind of get a visualization of where the cooler lines run, and then we're gonna show you up on the truck like we spoke about. First thing, when I'm doing this, I like to get all the old lines yanked out and get them out of the way because they're a mess, they're greasy, because these trucks never leak. And then the second step to that is I like to get my fittings all installed and prepped. So all you gotta do is get your lines made up and connect them up there. So the first one I like to start with is the outlet on the transmission. This is your factory connection. We're going to take this inverted flare fitting out. We're going to be putting the 1/4 inch fitting in. And that's pretty much it for that one. And while we're here, I'll throw the back one in too. So this is going to be the inlet to the transmission, returning after both of your heat exchanger and your air cooler. So we're going to worry about the fittings that are connected to the hoses a little later. We don't have the lines here to show you, just the old ones. Now we're going to follow this one over to your heat exchanger. All right, now the rear port is your inlet for your heat exchanger. They have a flare fitting on both front and rear. This one's already been removed for us. We're going to yank that one out. We're going to be putting in the 3/8 fitting on both of these. Okay, once you get those in, you're going to move forward to your air cooler to the front of the truck. The oil is going to come back out of your heat exchanger, back down past the transmission, up the oil pan rail here. And you're going to have these notoriously leaking fittings here. Almost every truck I see of this age, they're always leaking here, here, and here because these rubber lines get worn out. These are a very simple push-on fitting. They're kind of in a little bit of a bugger spot. We're going to cut to that up in the frame, but trust me, you can get them without removing your air cooler. All you got to do is pull them off, clean it up, and with your new lines, throw the 2 new hose clamps on there that we include with the kit, and then your front connection's done. So this is going to be the inlet to your cooler. It's going to be the one towards the front of the truck, and then the outlet is the one coming from the rear, and it's going to head right on back down the tranny, down the oil pan, excuse me, and back into the transmission inlet. And that's pretty much going to be it. I'll double hit on this real fast since we have the fittings here. Both of the elbowed fittings go on the transmission end, okay? Now I didn't show you these at the beginning because I wanted you to just get your fittings connected, and then you're going to do your hose lengths. And as you're doing the hose lengths, we'll kind of go over that while it's in frame in the truck, and you'll see why. Just so you remember, this is kind of a connection map. Both 90-degree fittings go on the transmission, and both straight fittings go on the heat exchanger. All right, one thing that we did not show you on the ground is the RH variant of this. The factory transmission sensor on an RH, so 94, 95 transmission is external, it's not in the pan like an RE version. So RH guys, you're going to get these 3 extra fittings. Make sure you throw in your factory temperature sending unit there. You're going to reinstall it. Here, about this angle, we're going to show you cut to the clip on the truck of where you want it all set up. This way, you're going to be out of the way of all the linkage arms, and you should be good to go. All right, so I'd like to point out that I've instructed to make one connection on one end with your line, and then run the other end of the line. Now, the reason for that is we give you a little bit of extra line here for your situating. You can see how you can bring the angle here differently depending on how you connect this fitting, up or down or whatever. So connect one line hard and then run your other line so it fits just right, because we don't want to be having the lines cross over each other a bunch of times and abrading. You just want a nice straight run. All right, we gave you the on-ground overview. Here's the in-truck. We've got your outlet here. We're going to come down across the inspection plate on the bell housing the transmission, and we're going to come right up into your heat exchanger. It's kind of hard to see on this one, but the rear port is your inlet and the front port is your outlet. Get that all connected back up, and you're going to head right back down running your line with the 2 new line clamps on the inspection plate on your transmission bell housing. And from there, we're going to run forward on the engine oil pan where the factory lines ran. There's going to be 3 studs there. So you're going to add 3 line clamps there on the 3 previous studs. And then we're going to run right up to the front of your air cooler. Now on the front of your air cooler, you've got your forward port, that's the inlet, and you've got your rear, that's going to be your outlet. Easy enough, connect those on, and you're going to run right back down the frame rail on the oil pan, back to the back of your transmission for the inlet. All right, so we've got your whole kit. When you buy this, we've got nice new line holders to hold the line so it does not vibrate and abrade a hole in your nice new line. All the fittings that you need to connect this whole kit up, and of course your new line. This stuff is 300 psi rated, high temperature rated. It's tough stuff. Really hard to shove on the fittings. We'll go over that in a minute. All right, I said we're going to go over the fittings and connecting this tough hose on here. If it's one thing that we've learned here, you do not want to take your fittings and shove these in dry. This hose is tight and it gets stuck on there halfway, and you know you don't want it on halfway, especially when you get your tranny hot. You want it all the way in. So your best friend when you're doing this, one is going to be your heat gun. You're going to want to heat the line up so it gets nice and pliable. Second is you want to get a little bit of oil. Doesn't matter what it is, engine oil. I usually use ATF. Put a liberal amount of oil inside the hose and on the fitting before you try and jam it on. These fittings are lock-on fittings, so you do not need to use a hose clamp. And this is why you'll notice in the video on my truck, we've got a black line on there. It was actually a lower rated line, and it's lasted great. We've got about 20,000 miles on the line. It's perfect. This line's even heavier duty. It's gonna help you guys out. So shove them on. I'm gonna see if I can even, I can get one barb on there with it dry, and you're not gonna get any far. So hopefully you guys liked watching the video and getting rid of these nasty old things. I hate these things because this is the only thing on my truck over the 18 years I've owned it that stranded me on the road. Got a pinhole in it, pumped all the oil out. So if you're even debating on buying one of these, even if they're not leaking, just do it, reliability's sake. Check out that like button, freaking click it lots of times. Subscribe to us, come watch some more next time. See ya.